What's up? It's Matt. It's Wednesday. It's time for another Restaurant Expert Roundup. This time I have Jordan from north of the border joining us from Saskatchewan. I just wanted to say that. And we're going to talk about his company, 7 Shifts, and how you can eliminate the good old pencil and paper and get to 2022 for your restaurant and your scheduling. Jordan, is it A? Is that what they say up in Canada?
Yeah, we say A quite a bit. I don't know what is the American equivalent.
Oh gosh,
like hey,
probably.
Or do you say anything?
Wow, it depends what part. If you're in New York, it's like, hey, jackass. If you're in Kentucky, it's like, hey. Now it's y'all in Kentucky. So Jordan, Tell us who you are, introduce yourself, introduce 7 Shifts and what you guys do up there.
Absolutely. So my name is Jordan. I'm the CEO at 7 Shifts. So 7 Shifts is a workforce management platform for the restaurant industry. And so basically, if you were to think of the traditional ways of kind of managing teams, everything from hiring, training, scheduling, paying, retaining those team members, we really cut our teeth fairly deep on kind of that scheduling aspect to start. And the company's kind of evolved from here. But a little bit about my background. I worked for my dad, who ran some Quiznos locations here in Saskatchewan. My grandparents also ran some quick service restaurants, and so I grew up working in them. Really, really loved working with all my peers and like friends, and it was just such a fun culture to be a part of, and learned a lot, but also witnessed my dad try to run multiple stores and try to just schedule and manage staff. It just looked like super painful for him. He was trying to do all this stuff, and then he basically go and sit his computer at the back, and he's like sticky notes everywhere, and I could see him kind of just like scratching his head. And it wasn't because he was itchy. It was because his brain hurts from all this stuff that he was trying to like sift through. And so I thought, maybe I could teach myself how to write some code, build something really small and rudimentary to help my dad with this problem. So that was kind of the early beginnings of what became 7 Shifts.
Nice. Yeah, I actually this was probably 2 years ago. I was sitting with a client and their phone was blowing up with text messages. And I have all my alerts set off, so I can't see if somebody texts me or not. And I'm looking and it's like a Christmas show. I'm like, what is that? Oh, we got somebody looking for a shift change. I'm like, well, what, via text? Oh yeah, we have all 62 employees on a text chain. And when somebody wants to change their shift or swap, it's there. And I'm looking at this message. I'm like, how the hell do you know who's working? And it was pen and paper and, erasing the pencil and putting so-and-so on this shift. And I'm like, dude, there's got to be a much easier way than this. I would imagine somebody created software that would help you with about everything you would need for managing your workforce in the restaurant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially in this day and age, like there's no shortage of restaurant tech companies doing things that can help, I think. But that's also presents its own set of challenges for operators, right? Like sifting through this array of technology companies that claim they do all these things, and certain people do these things well and not so much this, but they only go, they're kind of like a mile long and an inch deep on other products. And I think that, but by and large, I think generally things are moving in the right direction in terms of adoption. But when we surveyed a number of folks a few years back, it was something like 70% of restaurants were still using some form of, kind of like paper, like pseudo online way of managing and scheduling. It was like Google Sheets. It was like the most sophisticated.
Yeah.
And then like, obviously like your paper-based Excel stuff. But it's amazing to see how many things have been like cobbled together to kind of create something that, now companies have kind of gone really deep on to try and solve some of these pain points. But it's an evolution.
You would have loved one I saw, and this was a combination. So there's a company in Cincinnati area called UDF. It's a chain of gas stations, except for all of them have a ice cream shop attached to it. And so they have an ice cream manufacturing company they own called Homemade Ice Cream. Then they have UDF gas stations, and you can go in and get gas and pop or a nice ice cream. They have great ice cream and milkshakes. Terrible service at most of them. That's a whole different story. If you want to wait 30 minutes for a shake, they're your guys. But this friend of mine worked in I used to call him the Google guy. And this is back in like 2010. And we called him the Google guy because he worked for a tech accounting firm. And so they were an accounting firm and he was the tech division, which ended up getting sold for a decent amount of money. Yeah. And his whole thing was to help businesses solve issues in the tech world regards to accounting and scheduling employees. And he had just finished a project for this company because they had hundreds of trucks that would leave the shop and go out and do their route. And they knew that Mike was on this truck and Joe on this truck. And there was no rhyme or reason of where those routes would start or end. And I remember he automated and made a computer software that would show them, instead of saying like the truck would start here and end 45 minutes over here, or at the end of the day, 45 minutes away, and waste gas coming all the way back. And he made it to where they started here and then it circled through and came back. And so something you would think would make so much sense. Like I've heard Amazon drivers take right turns only or something. And something that would make so much sense. But then this is a huge company. Like I think the guys that own the company at one point, the three founders of the multiple companies, they owned Chiquita Banana at one point. They're in the Cincinnati Reds. They were top 20 in the country, richest guys. One or two, I think two of them were at one point. And I remember going, hold on, how is a company that big still have a piece of paper? And he was having a piece of paper and a pencil that Mike truck 7 is going to go to these stores and then schedule their shifts. And he's on this truck today. And I'm like, I was amazed that even in 2010, a company that big hadn't upgraded their tech. And then now I walk in the restaurants. My team goes to restaurants nationwide. They're at restaurants today. I was at restaurants today. And I still see restaurants using a clipboard and a piece of paper and a pencil, and they're writing off that Peggy is off today or Joe called in sick. And I'm like, there's got to be a solution. What do you think holds back restaurants from going all in on everything digital? Is it just confusion? Is it scared of adoption?
I think it's a few things. I think it seems to be much easier to adopt technology that is like pure revenue driving, like pure top line. Yep. And I think that, like Open Table and some of these things that are, hey, we're going to put butts in seats. Like that's a very easy thing to be like, oh, of course it's a no brainer. I think when you get into like the cost saving realm of, what is your time worth? How much time are you spending managing scheduling or like just teams in general? Like if it's, 8 hours a week, and to say we're going to eliminate that down to 1, what do you pay yourself hourly? And also on the flip side of that, what would it mean to you if we could shave, a couple % off your labor, on like an annual basis? Right. And so like, it's pretty large. If you look at like, a restaurant doing $1 million, you want to save $10,000 to $30,000 a year. Like, and you pay substantially less than that for a piece of software, or you get into the world of like overtime alerts. And, we prevent one of them, the software pays for itself, but we're preventing them like day in and day out for people so I think that what we saw prior to the pandemic around adopting tools like scheduling and team management software that we were doing is, there was a little bit of apprehension, I think, to adopt software, and a lot of operators kind of stuck in the ways of like, hey, this is how I've been doing it, and this is, working for me. And then the pandemic hit. Everyone is scrambling to kind of adopt technology, mainly a lot of like their, whether they did third-party delivery or first-party delivery, they were adopting different things, and they were forced to look at technology differently. And what we saw from that was a surge in businesses that were seeking out our product. And we've always prided ourselves on building a very simple and intuitive product that is, best in class and integrates very deeply with a lot of other great providers. But we saw the mindset change from like, I'm doing things fine and it's working for me, to, I'm going to see what's out there. I don't really have a good grasp on my costs because I had a close call with having to shut down, and I really just want to make sure I can do things that will help with retention, have good visibility. I want real-time visibility. I want to know, like, am I on track for the day or am I not? And I think that these are all becoming, or should be, kind of like status quo type of tools for operators to use and understand. And so I think we're seeing a massive shift now, and I'm excited to see the change.
One thing, I saw a blog on your site from I think it was a couple months ago, and it was about workplace culture. And the blog wasn't necessarily about this that I recall, but I remember the topic stuck out to me. And I was thinking, by the way, go to 7shifts.com, check them out, check out their blog. There's a lot of great resources. And your blog is unique because a lot of businesses like the blog tends to be about the company and everything. Yours is got marketing. It's got all sorts of stuff that restaurants, like I saw a post recently about ghost kitchens. But what I liked about the blog and something that I took from it, just the title of it, it made me think when I was talking to you today was workplace culture can be also tied in with your company's ability to adapt to tech, because my daughter just turned 20 today. That's where I was today for lunch. If she walks into your business to work part-time and she doesn't even probably know what a damn pencil is, like she doesn't know what certain things are. She knows what this device is. And so if she can't schedule easily, if she can't do her payroll easily, if she can't communicate easily with people on the team through that device, that's going to change her thought process about your company. And it might not be that people are quitting for that reason, but I would imagine that the more your company adapts to technology and uses what's available today, that you're going to keep your workforce a little more intact and communicate on their platforms. Because like my daughter, she doesn't call me. Like there is no calling. It's like she can be in her room when she's home, like on college break this summer, and be like, I could text her, hey, come out here. What do you want? I need to talk to you. I'll yell up. Why? I need to have a conversation with you. Okay, text it to me. I'm like, Jesus, man, just walk out of your room. So I would imagine a technology like yours can also benefit workplace culture because it adapts to a younger generation.
Yeah, I think that's really what we're finding too is there is that kind of way in which folks want to communicate. I mean, the restaurant industry is pretty interesting and unique in that it employs like the highest number of teenagers out of any private industry. And so when you look at the things and the ways in which they communicate, it is very much over the apps and things like that. And so rather than force them to say like, hey, this is how you're going to communicate, I think you've got to really meet them where they are, which is in the ways in which they know how to do that to the best of their abilities. And I think that giving them access to speak to the managers and whether it's text or call, like in an easy way is really important. And I think even I was talking to a manager the other day who was saying, that he's already noticing a lot of folks that are actually showing up more from using the product.
Wow.
And it wasn't just because they had just randomly. It was because the folks were showing up and they were able to kind of staff a little bit better just from the communication that they were having with the folks that were scheduled for that day, and sending them alerts, sending them reminders. Managers were reaching out, being like, hey, like I'm gonna send a message out to everyone that's working today and just like remind them that you got to work today.
Yeah.
And it sounds so like basic and rudimentary, but yeah, some of the folks some folks just like don't show up, and they, for whatever reason. And so I think making communication easy is going to help everyone, right? The employee wants to, generally wants to work and get paid for those hours, and the operators are scheduling folks because they want to operate their business effectively and efficiently for the time that they need people. So communication is so paramount for it. So yes.
So talking about talking about some of the tools, some of the things within 7 Shifts. This is straight from your website. Manage your team schedules, timesheets, communications, task tips, and more all in one place. Communication. So if I'm a restaurant and I've got today and it's my air conditioner for my building is average and it's 100 degrees in Kentucky, I can go in there and I can choose the people working today and say, hey, make sure you dress a little more appropriate for 100-degree weather. It's going to be hot. Come hydrated. I can easily send that message out and it goes to everybody on the schedule, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, and it goes both ways. So like employees can also message managers on duty.
Okay.
They don't need to know who the manager is on duty. They could just say, manager on duty, I want to send this message to that person.
Okay.
And make sure it kind of goes both ways as well. So
now, is that through the app? Is it an app on the phone that the employees all get?
Yep. All the employees would download. It's a free downloadable app. So we have such high adoption through the mobile products just by virtue of the younger generation using them. But but yeah, a lot of it is through the app. Whether it's checking their shifts, checking their tips, communicating with other coworkers, looking at their timesheets, their time cards, and making sure that their hours are all adding up, giving them better visibility. And a lot of the great operators that we're seeing care about giving their workers good transparency into some of that stuff. And so, we very much align with that sort of thinking. Really, really quick story, just while we're on this topic, and I think that it goes to show the kind of philosophy we have around how we build is that, we encourage and we want to help build upon and foster great restaurant culture. And there's a number of things I think that go into that. But we've had folks that, not many, but some folks are like, hey, I signed up for 7 shifts. I want to turn the communication tools off. I don't want my staff communicating, and, for whatever reason. And, right away, I love to, like, why, like, what is it? And it's like, oh, well, I don't want them to, talk badly. And it turns out it's like, I don't want them to talk badly about me or the management. And I'm like, well, there's a deeper rooted cultural issue here.
Yeah.
Whether it's our communication platform or Facebook Messenger or text, your employees are going to talk. So, so no, we're not turning off the communication tools. And this is what we think is really important. And I don't think any of this should be kind of like slid under the rug. I think there are some other issues that need to be dealt with that, but our stance on this sort of thing is, again, the transparent route of we want employees to kind of have the utmost respect for the employers they work with, and we want operators to feel like they can attract great folks. And yeah, I think that giving employees access to their time stubs in real time is like, I mean, that's not hard to do, but I think it's these small things that are important.
So within the app, can an owner pop in there and put a video about, hey, great day today, team rocked, here's a customer comment, here's a review we got, the customer said you're doing an awesome job, and hit that to the whole team? Is it the ability like that?
Exactly. Yeah. So operators use it for a number of different reasons. I think that some of the communication aspects, obviously, like menu changes, when daily specials, when those kind of things are changing, and they want the staff to know. But yeah, absolutely. Motivational things, things that give people props for doing great work. I think that all those things that people may think are silly are not. Like, that actually is meaningful when you're calling someone out in front of all their peers to be like, Matt, you did a killer job. Like, thanks for staying the extra shift. Like, you crushed it during the rush. And like, also, by the way, you didn't have to stay late and cut all that ham or whatever. You didn't have to do that. And I think that, we're trying to facilitate and build a system that rewards and kind of brings those accolades kind of more public to the rest of the team, so that we can all work better and work towards things where the manager can incentivize and also reward people for doing great work.
That's awesome. I love it. And the big thing to me that I think is key there is communication. Is that, to me, you can schedule, you can do this, but I know that a big thing that we see when we schedule with restaurants, with restaurant owners themselves, are a culprit of not showing up for appointments when they schedule a consultation. And I remember a restaurant about 2 months ago. He said, "Man, I'm glad you guys use what you practice what you preach." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I got my reminder yesterday. I knew I had a text and an email. We had an appointment today. It's on Google Calendar. But my daughter last minute, a couple hours ago, said, 'Hey, we got to go to the dentist real quick. I need to do this, this, and this.'" And he said, sure enough, about 10 minutes later, I get a text reminding me of my meeting in 1 hour. And he's like, "That's why I'm here on the call right now, is that text." I'm like, "Okay, we got to get there and back in an hour. I got a conversation with Matt Plapp. We're good to go." And I'm adamant believer in that today's technology can be a huge advantage to your business. That as simple as, I've got an 18 and a 20-year-old, and they forget the most random stuff, and that they both have places they're supposed to be every day. But those reminders, the communication, and especially using an app, that if I've got an app that I have to use every day, I become way more in tune with using it, and I pay more attention to it. So when accolades are put in there, when changes are put in there, when new menu items are announced, when something's 86th, I'm going to be more apt to use it, and it's going to make the job and everything else a lot better. So is 7shifts.com the easiest place to find more about 7 Shifts, schedule a demo and all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So the number 7 shifts, like shift work, just plural, .com. And yeah, it's the best place to sign up for a free account. honestly, folks, like anyone can sign up, get in there, play with the product. We have a example, like a demo mode you can turn on and see what it looks like with some fake data in there. Really just full on try before you buy type of scenario.
I love it. Now, question: 7 shifts. Where did the name come from? Is it 7 days, the shift, 7 shifts, or was there something there?
You are the only person that has absolutely nailed it. By the way, that's exactly it. 7 days and shift work. I get that question all the time. You are the only person to this date that has.
I should get an award. I should get a prize.
You should. You get an accolade. I'm gonna give you like a I don't know, a trophy emoji or something.
There we go.
Like,
well, cool. I appreciate it. And by the way, you mentioned earlier about living the brand. I just realized our cups are orange here too. So yeah, everything here is orange. Orange and
nice.
blue.
We'll have to get you some 7 shift swag too, just to match, just to make sure you keep with the
we've got
we've
got a couple areas in it, like our downstairs area. We have a 45-person, 50-person event room, and we have swag hanging up from different restaurants, like your Cali barbecues down there, Sean, and we got Donut Bar and restaurants we go to all over the country. We bring back shirts and hats and mugs. Like I got something the other day from Hillcrest Foods. It's a brand, a distributor out of Cleveland, and they got the Restauratopia podcast. They gave me some stuff for that. So we love swag. We got it. We prominently display it. And our goal is to bring together companies that are helping make life easier in 2022 for restaurants. And I've heard a lot of great stuff about 7 shifts, and I appreciate you being on. I look forward to hearing more about it in the future. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on some other things within the industry, more specific to, what you guys help people accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to any point. Love speaking on engagement, retention, culture related stuff. It's all important.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, sir.